They told you pleasure is the prize. But what if it's the prison? What if the chocolate, the swipe, the laugh, the like, aren't real rewards at all, but disguises? Masks hiding something we've been running from all along. Carl Jung believed this. He saw that most of what we call pleasure isn't joy. It's anesthesia. A quick drug we take, not through needles, but through phones, food, attention, sex, and endless distraction. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt full, truly full, without needing something more? Not entertained, not distracted, but deeply, profoundly alive without reaching for a single thing? Most can't remember, because we live in an age drowning in pleasures, yet starving for presence. And here's the trap. The very pleasures we chase are often the very things keeping us from healing. Today, you'll see pleasure in a way you've never seen it before, not as a sweet reward, but as a mask. A mask hiding your loneliness, your wounds, and your shadow. And once you see it, you'll never look at pleasure the same again. Picture this. You wake up. Your hand moves before your mind does. Phone, unlock, swipe. You don't even know why. There's no emergency, no joy waiting. But the habit is stronger than hunger. A video makes you laugh for 3 seconds. Then another. Then another. You smile and forget every clip the moment it ends. And in that infinite scroll, hours vanish. But the ache doesn't. So you set the phone down. Maybe grab something sweet, salty, or both. And as the taste fades, guilt creeps in. You weren't hungry. You weren't curious. You just needed something. Something to break the silence inside. This is the hidden truth. Most of what we call pleasure isn't pleasure. It's relief from self-awareness. A quick escape from the storm we've never named. But every hit of false pleasure comes with a cost. Because the more we reach for it, the emptier we feel. The more we consume, the hungrier we become. And here's Jung's warning. Pleasure misused doesn't heal the wound. It buries it. Jung said each of us has a shadow, a hidden self we bury under distraction. And pleasure is the shovel. Think about it. When you eat, not from hunger, but boredom, you're not choosing joy. When you scroll, not from curiosity, but emptiness, you're not choosing growth. When you chase desire without love, you're not choosing connection. You're choosing anesthesia. Now imagine this. A 6-year-old cries. No one listens, so they learn. Crying gets me nothing. But smiling, performing, distracting myself, that gets approval. And that tiny trade-off sticks, year after year. Until adulthood, where the pain is silent, but the pleasures are loud. Loud enough to drown the child inside who just wanted to be held. Loud enough to convince us we're fine while we're not. Here's what no one realizes. Every time you use pleasure to silence pain, you train your body to fear stillness. And when stillness feels unbearable, you can't sit alone. You need noise in the shower, TV in the background, music blasting when silence falls. Because silence exposes what distraction was built to bury. Jung saw it clearly. Pleasure itself is not evil. But when it becomes avoidance, it becomes the enemy of the soul. Let's go deeper. Picture a person wandering through a desert. Each time they see a shimmer of water, they run to it. But when they arrive, it vanishes. That's pleasure without purpose. A mirage. You scroll for joy but end up empty. You eat for comfort but end up guilty. You chase the hookup but end up lonelier. And yet you keep running. Because the next one might be real. But real pleasure is different. It's quiet. It doesn't demand. It doesn't numb. It expands you. It's in a deep conversation. In finishing the project you feared. In realizing one morning that you no longer need what used to control you. The irony. That's the pleasure no one craves because it's not easy. But it's the only kind worth craving. As Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And chasing mirages is the most absurd thing of all. Rewind again. A child scrapes their knee. It stings. They cry. And someone says, "Here, have a cookie." Or, "Stop crying. Look at the cartoon." That moment imprints something powerful. Not consciously, but deep in the nervous system. Pain is weakness. Emotion is inconvenience. And the solution is distraction. So you grow fluent in the language of pleasure. It becomes your translator. It speaks when you're too afraid to admit, "I'm not okay." It dances when you're too tired to say, "I feel empty." It smiles when all you want to do is scream. But every time you replace emotion with stimulation, you lose intimacy with yourself. You stop knowing your own language. And Jung warned, when the inner world is ignored, the outer world becomes louder. Pleasure is the loudest thing of all. The scroll, the ping, the binge. They scream so we never have to listen to the ache underneath. But until you listen, you'll never know what you truly need. Here's the hardest truth. Every time you reach for the fast fix, you betray yourself. Not in a dramatic way, but in small, quiet ways that add up over years. Every, "just 5 more minutes." Every, "this makes me feel good," when you know it doesn't. Every silence avoided because it whispered too loudly. It's betrayal. But listen carefully. This isn't shame. It's awakening. You weren't weak. You weren't broken. You were surviving. You did what you thought would keep you safe. But survival isn't living. And the moment you see the loop, that endless cycle of quick highs and deeper emptiness, you have a choice. To keep numbing the ache, or to finally meet yourself. Because here's the secret Jung left us. The real pain was never boredom. The real pain was the absence of self. Imagine your life as a house. Inside, your wounded child waits. Your ignored truth. Your unhealed memory. But instead of walking through the front door, you build an entertainment system outside. Music, candy, parties, and you throw a carnival in the yard while your true self waits inside. That's what unchecked pleasure does. It builds noise outside your house so you never go in. But healing is different. Healing is walking through the silence, stepping inside, sitting with your wounded self and saying, "I'm here now." You can speak. This is presence. And presence is rebellion. Because once you reclaim presence, pleasure loses its chains. You no longer need it to survive. You can finally choose it. That's when pleasure becomes sacred again. Not a drug, not an escape, but a celebration. And people will notice. They'll ask why you've changed, why you don't chase the same highs, why you laugh less often, but more deeply. They won't understand, because they're still outside, dancing at the carnival. But you've gone inside and found yourself. Here's the last illusion to break. You've been told pleasure is freedom, that the more you indulge, the freer you are. But freedom isn't doing whatever you want. Freedom is not needing to. True pleasure isn't the chocolate, the phone, the applause. True pleasure is the moment you realize you don't need distraction to feel alive. You can sit in stillness and smile, not because it's empty, but because it's full. Full of truth, full of presence, full of power. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And who you are is not a bundle of cravings, not a consumer of feelings. You are a creator of meaning, and meaning will feed you in ways pleasure never can. So next time the craving hits, pause, not to fight it, not to shame it, but to ask, what do I truly need right now? That question alone can change everything, because the pleasure you no longer need to chase is the only kind worth having.